Tarasenko and Barkov both good to go?
Yes, sir.
And then Evan Rodrigues back up on the top line. Obviously, he played there earlier in the year, last game as well. Just he can do a lot of things. What do you like about how he fits on that top unit?
Well, I like where Evan's game has changed over the course of the year. When he came in and he played with Sasha and Sam, it was good, especially analytically. They were a really good line. And then we had a bunch of injuries and we started to move people around a little bit. And then the line that he hadn't played with was Bennett and Tkachuk, and by necessity he needed to go there, and that was really good for us for a while. But eventually the idea would be, I like him in one of two places as much or better than with the Bennett and Tkachuk line. I also like Matthew back on the right. So I think I had that in my head, that I would really look at that coming into Game 3, even if I didn't adjust it then. I just thought in Game 2 we were kind of right there. We weren't far off. Kind of that offensive games that made the flip, and 9 out of those 10 that never work. And every once in a while they work, and you run around and tell everybody about them.
Third row right, Sean.
Aaron Ekblad said of your team's ability to seemingly get stronger as series goes on. He said all the credit goes to you and your coaching staff, all the stuff that you bring them. I'm interested in your take on this team, or your description of them in their ability to take all that information that your coaching staff brings to them and apply it under such duress and circumstances.
Well, it was very nice of Aaron to say that. I didn't think he was listening. I don't know the answer to that, because we work really, really hard at making things as simply as possible, and that as simple as possible. And it's not because your players can't process it at all. What's that quote? And I'm going to butcher it again. You don't understand something unless you can explain it simply, which ruins this answer. But we're trying to give them the most important things, and that would be what we work fairly hard at. If you've got 10 fires, the only thing that's important about that is you order number 1 to 3 right and deal with those, because usually fire, 4 through 10 puts itself out. So try to get to the important things as quickly as you can, and explain them as simply as you can.
Right side front row, Ryan.
Hey, Paul. Their power play is obviously going to make adjustments. It always happens. Is there any way to try and stay ahead of whatever adjustments might be made? Do you look back at past dry spells and things they've tried, and how deep is the dive in trying to stay ahead of this particular chess game?
I think both power plays probably feel the exact same way about each other. Like ours are pretty good. Ours is pretty good too. So we're trying to find that. How do we get this thing sped up? How do we create a little bit more? But at no point are we going, okay, we've always done this and we've been really good at it, but now we're going to do this way over here. There's not as many adjustments as I think, I believe, in hockey or maybe pro sports, but as in true adjustments where you take something that you've done and now we're going to do something different. There's far more time is spent on a return to form. When we're good, we look like this. These are the reasons that we don't look like this. Both teams' penalty kills are almost, there's different routes in one area, but other than that, the philosophy and attitude, I think they're identical. It would be exactly what we experienced in New York, right? Same kind of hyper-aggressive penalty kill, lots of defensemen with long sticks, good skaters. So we're trying to do the same thing. We're just trying to maybe think of it more of a return to form, get back to what you're really good at, and put all your money on that.
At the same row, Stephen.
Obviously, we know Sasha Barkov and kind of what he means to you guys as a team, but how much more value does having him mean on the road when you don't control last change, and kind of how it makes your lineup fit having him in there for matchups?
Well, maybe it just kind of switches a little bit. So at home, a lot of nights he's going to play against the McDavids of the world. You can't say that. Other really good players, because there aren't any other McDavids of the world. He'll get matched. But then you get on the road, and maybe we look at Sasha Barkov a little differently. You look at the offensive side of his game. So if you're not going head-to-head, and there's a very small number of teams, in my opinion, that have a true shutdown line where you're getting Jordan Staal all night long, right? Or you're getting Adam Lowry all night long. So, yes, there's the give and take. We would lose the sulkiness against possibly the other teams, but we're also then going to get a guy that's a point-a-game plus guy, and the guy in his wing scored 57. So there's the give and take for both teams.
Third row on the right, Jason?
Paul, Gustav Forsling, most teams when they win, you need a number one defenseman, and I don't know if he fits into that ideal from it. What have you seen in your 2 years here that puts him in that category as a defender?
So I can't qualify this better, but I believe this. In his style of defense, he's the best defenseman in the world. What have I seen? I mean, he did come out of. If you track his path, and I can't. I mean, I know where he was in Chicago because we didn't get him. We wanted him, and we didn't get him. And I don't know what happened. All I know is that I think he's a perfect example of a late bloomer, but not because he was underperforming, underworking, or he hadn't found his game yet. I don't think he was, to play his game, he's an exceptionally fit man, right? And it's Forsling on our fitness board, right, year over year. It took his body a while to get to the mass, to critical mass, where now he's so powerful in that stride, and he can get it. It just took his body a while. He was truly a late bloomer. He would be, but there's a way better story in that. He just wasn't sitting around eating Doritos and woke up one day and looks like that. The hours that, you look like me, the hours that he put into it, and that idea of like the great character people put in all the effort even without knowing it's going to work, right? The arduous pursuit of excellence without the guarantee of reward. That's Gustav Forsling.
In that same row, Mark?
If I lean closer to this, will I hear you? Is that how this works?
How about that?
There you go.
Talking sleep doctors here. You got one team that's played a couple series in the Pacific, one against Dallas in the Central, now they're going east. They play out of Edmonton. It's obviously far away from everything.
You didn't know I was able to do that, did you?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Your team has played, this is your second trip out of your time zone in 5 months. Is there an advantage one way or the other?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm taking our situation. I mean, I don't think the one-off is an issue at all. We got beat by St. Louis in the first round the year St. Louis won the Cup. I think 5 of the 6 previous weeks before the season ended, we were outside our time. We were on one coast or another. I thought it affected us then. I think it's the cumulative effect of over time, how you can recover. I think there's a block of teams. We're one of them. Edmonton's probably, your travel sucks. It's just not good. Like we've got, think of all of the teams in our division that it's 3+ hour flight. We do that all year long. So there's a built-in resilience that comes to just the experience of it. I would take a more rested, possibly, jet lag. It's 2 hours. Like we didn't fly to Europe. It's just down the road, right? The game's at 6 instead of 7. So there's another change, and some of our shoes got a little wet. There's another, just doesn't matter.
We'll take 2 more. Left side, third row, Luke.
Paul, when one team's up 2-0, it's just human nature that the other one's going to be the more desperate team. Is there anything you've learned in coaching to match that desperation? Any tricks or tips you can give your guys a try? And
no tricks, no tips, but there's an energy source in both rooms. And when after a loss, the team that loses, you can almost guarantee that energy source, right? The focus, that it's human nature. So we're in the final, everybody's really focused. But then where does that extra push come from, right? It's been 6 weeks, where do you get that extra jump? In this series, as we get closer to the game 7, there's also the desire, right? You can feel it. It's getting closer to you. So all of this is about managing it. There's a great band, a great frequency in there for both teams to operate in, and they can use it. Cross that line, you want something too bad, you become too desperate, you're not a good hockey team anymore. So it's just about managing. We both maybe have slightly different fuel sources, and I think that's more true maybe in the first 3 rounds. I think we're both grinding, ready to play 7 games. Like everybody comes to the rink grinding.
Last one in that same row, Pierre.
Paul, can you walk us through, as an organization, the decision to, and I know we're making a bigger deal of it, but to fly,
you are.
to fly a day later. I mean, is it you and Bill?
No. Well, we get to decide. Bill has to write the check for the flight. We pay a bunch of really smart people to have better answers than we do, right? At no point when a guy gets a cold do they come to see me how they should fix it. So we got a whole bunch of people. This is the way we do it. We have reasons for it. It's reasoned, and I'm 100% good with it. Like, to put this in perspective, our day got pushed 2 hours. Right, so we spent an hour at our rink, a little longer. We got an unbelievable rink. The busiest time in the NHL is when you leave for a road game. From the time the guy gets off the ice till you get to the airport. So, and it's kind of hectic. The trains are pulling bags. There's guys flying all over the place. So that disappeared. We sat there. Our chef is unbelievable. The coaches put on 7 pounds yesterday. That's the only ramification. We ate 12 meals, right? They got on the plane. We spent an extra hour and a half on the tarmac, whatever it was. They played cards. They laughed. Every time one of the trainers walked in and he was soaked from head to toe, he got a standing ovation. And then the flight was the same line. So we get here at whatever, 8 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock or whatever it was. So I'm joking around with that, but there's some people struggling right now in Florida. It was flooding, so it's a serious thing that happened there. But our day was not serious.